Well, actually, I think it's a lot of synergy. First of all, Jason Andrews, it's great to be back. When I sat here last, I think it was 2017, as the founder and CEO of Black Sky. It's been quite a journey since then, and proud to be here as one of the founding board members of the NEO Space Group. And let me just give you a background on the NEO Space Group, because it speaks to the national policy changes that are going on in Saudi Arabia as it relates to geospatial and other sectors. So the NEO Space Group was founded in January 2023 as the National Space Company, which really defines our role and mission. We are the National Space Company for Saudi Arabia. We're a 100% PIF-owned company that came out of Vision 2030. As the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia took a step back and looked at what technology industries they could invest in to create domestic capabilities, domestic jobs, aerospace and defense was one of them, and so we're in the aerospace and defense portfolio of the PIF, and our sister company is SAMI, whom some of you may have heard of. So there was a national space policy developed in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, 50-odd initiatives that were developed and allocated down to some to NEOM, some to the Ministry of Defense, some to the Saudi Space Agency, and many of them went to the National Space Company, which again, our trade name is the NEO Space Group. And the company was set up with 3 business divisions, one around space telecommunications, one satellite navigation IoT, and one around geospatial. So I'm technically a board member, but everybody in the company has been very telecom focused. And so they said, Mr. Board Member, you know something about geospatial. Can you step in and run that part of our business for us? So I've been on the job for 3 months and putting together the overall geospatial strategy. But again, going back to the big picture, Saudi Arabia is going through a transformation, a cultural transformation, an economic transformation. And so the goal of the National Space Company, we are a commercial entity. We are not the MOD. We are not a government agency, but we are really that national company to build capability to support the kingdom, to onshore IP, to create jobs, with the long-term vision of projecting and being relevant on the global stage. So as part of this realignment around Vision 2030 and the creation of the NEO Space Group, we've realigned some capabilities in the kingdom. Some are not fully announced yet, so I can't speak to all of them. But one of the things that has been announced is the Ministry of Communication, Space and Technology put out an RFP to develop a commercial geospatial platform in the kingdom. Historically, a government organization called CAXT has been procuring geospatial information on behalf of all users in the kingdom, and we're transitioning that more over to a commercial marketplace type dynamic. So there'll be a lot of new news coming out between now and hopefully World Satellite Business Week 2025. The management team, again, has been in place for a matter of months, so I think amongst my peers here on the board panel that we're very early stage, but we're excited about the vision, and we have a lot of resources behind us to go off and realize that vision. So I'll pause there. Thank you. I think it's not a secret that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia doesn't own any tactical satellite assets or geospatial satellite assets. So we are working with all of our stakeholders in partnership with other government organizations like the Saudi Space Agency and other key national stakeholders like Aramco to define what are our national needs, what is the commercial business case about acquiring those capabilities and operating those capabilities on behalf of government institutions, commercial institutions, and quite potentially the Ministry of Defense. So we're in the formation stage. Okay. Yeah, we're unique in that we're coming to market at a really interesting time. As we said, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia happens to be one of the largest users of geospatial data, anywhere from $50 million up to maybe $100 or $200 million annually. And it's driven by this Vision 2030, where the government is spending approximately $150 billion a year on a number of initiatives, mostly mega projects. So construction monitoring is a huge demand. Just documenting the kingdom is a huge demand, yet they have no sovereign capabilities. So we come into this opportunity as a well-backed company with a couple $1 billion from the PIF, and are really told, create something interesting and unique. And I'll do that at the same time by creating a domestic capability internally. So in the geospatial side of things, we're looking at investing in downstream services, solutions to help the domestic economy as we already talked about, we're going to have a marketplace so that it accelerates access to this information for the benefit of the kingdom. And then we're also looking at investing in select upstream assets to supply that ecosystem with electro-optical data, potentially synthetic aperture radar data, RF and hyperspectral data. And this is actually being done next door in UAE, where I would say they're probably a decade ahead of the kingdom as far as investing in satellite assets for both commercial and government purposes. So it's an interesting time. We have a lot to do. And you can also tell that we need people. So I'm supposed to say if we're hiring. So if anyone's interested, I think it's once in a lifetime opportunity where you can create a new aerospace company from scratch. As a serial entrepreneur, you always have dreams and you never have capital. You're in a very unique position when they say, here's all the capital, go dream it into existence. So it's a fun time. Okay, the question was, is it about making money or jobs? And I think the short answer is both. The PIF sat me down the first day I was a board member, and they say, if we make money but we don't make jobs, we fail. If we make jobs and we don't make money, we fail. Double clicking on that, the goal of Vision 2030 really across all the sectors is there's a very growing, well-educated population in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but there isn't necessarily the industrial base to put them to work with high-tech jobs, white-collar jobs. And so that is really mission number one. So it's onshore capabilities and IP to create a robust ecosystem. At the same time, encourage other companies to co-locate to the kingdom. So it's very much play nice. It's not like here's the single dominant company with a lot of backing. It's really how do we create an ecosystem? And then as we execute our strategy, it's also play on the global stage. Saudi has big aspirations. They see the Middle East as the crossroads between Asia, Europe, and Africa in this new world economy of the next century. So it's a very long-term patient investment thesis. And so we are definitely looking for partnerships. We can't do it all. The Neospace Group is a handful of people today. I describe our last 3 months of existence as 12 people, 2 conference room tables, and $2 billion. So that kind of gives you a visual of what the Neospace Group is. But it's growing very fast, and we're excited about what we can announce next year. So Space 42 is our neighbor next door, and like I said, they're a decade ahead of us. They've put in billions of dollars of investment. They've acquired highly capable Earth observation satellites. They just, I think, announced a deal with ISI for 7 radar satellites, and we sense they're looking at other things. They're investing in downstream analytics. We definitely are a very nascent organization, but I think what they represent is something that we could be aspiring to. But we're starting downstream and working upstream. So to the extent that we're not building satellites in the kingdom in the short term and maybe even in the long term, but that doesn't mean other companies can't co-locate to the kingdom, and we provide the demand to justify that they locate there and build capabilities there in support of us and other users. So I think it's a great vision for what they're doing, and we're sitting down with them and saying, how can we partner? It's all about partnering and pooling the resources. So we're trying to go to market really fast, and so we have no choice but to partner with people. We're not going to reinvent the wheel and create new technologies. It's really about seeing across the industry who we can partner with one strong caveat is that we want co-location in the kingdom to support what we're doing, because we're trying to build a long-term ecosystem. We're trying to train a staff and capabilities. And then even within the kingdom, partnerships, central planning is an amazing thing. Partnerships are absolutely critical to what we're doing. As I already talked about, we're sitting down with our major stakeholders, whether it's NEOM or Aramco or others, and saying, what do you need? What can we do? How do we pool our source of money? As they think about it, all comes from literally one pot of money from Aramco. And so it's optimizing capital. So it's by definition how we're going to build this. But we're very excited about working with everybody in the industry and being that new kid on the block and humbly figuring out how we can do this all together. I'm going to take a totally different track and just say, come visit the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. See for yourself the pace of change. It's an adventure, and we encourage you all to be part of it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.